Hi, my name is Yana and this video is a self-interview about how I see my future in Europe. I would first like to discuss the importance and the reasons of political protests. The freedom of political participation is a leading characteristic of democracy. Voting lies at the heart of political participatory activities, however there are many others, such as contacting public officials, signing petitions, protesting and demonstrating. The complex of all these forms of political participation are a way of people to express their attitudes towards certain decisions that have been made by politicians. Nowadays, when democracy is enlarging its presence worldwide, one can see many protests all over the world. In more democratic countries, protests are seen as the freedom of people to express their attitudes. However, in less democratic countries, protests can be seen not only as a reaction of people against certain decision, but also as a tool to fight for the improvement of freedom of political participation. I would now like to turn my attention to the most emblematic and longest protest wave after the Second World War in France. It's that of the Yellow Vest movement. Thousands of people, called the Yellow Vest, gathered and call for the abolishment of the Fifth Republic and replacement of representative democracy with people's government. They also call for the resignation of the French president. What is interesting about these protests is that they are not unified on a certain goal and are not led by generally recognized leaders. In this context, how I see my future in the EU. I think that the choices before the European Union are multiple and will vary with time. The United Europe has to face many challenges including Brexit, terrorist attacks, migration crisis, and Yellow Vest movement. I see my future in Europe, which is determined to improve its safety and security, so that every citizen will travel freely in the limits of better secured borders and improve its migration policy by turning to the spirit of the migration policy of the times of the European Community. In this sense, I would like to say to Europeans that, in my opinion, we have been far too kind to people who only wanted to benefit from us and not contribute to our welfare. This has encouraged parasitism and has even caused sabotages of various kinds, and this needs to end. We are a political unification and not a free lunch for all. I would also like to work for the EU, which is determined to fight against poverty, discrimination, unemployment by stimulating the better achievements and the individual perfection in working and studying. Finally, I think that the EU should oppose the idea of Europe of nations, which was suggested by the nationalists, as a remedy against the bureaucratization. Here is another idea, a Europe of people, where all European citizens have the initiative to decide how to integrate and how to live together. I think that this is the way to build a new union, more perspective, secure and powerful.